And basically the idea is when you get feedback from your students, you get their input into their own learning, and that can really help you as the educator change your practices to fit their needs, co-create with them to make them more engaged. And those are the type of tools we are going to be sharing with you today, different ways to do that. So Lisbon, could you go to the next slide, please? And this is our CRE connections around feedback and why we're focusing on feedback. So I'll be quiet so you can read this slide as well. And I think the biggest takeaway from this slide is if we never get feedback, we just keep doing the same thing over and over again, not realizing that it's not meeting all the needs of our students. So that's why it's really important to be getting feedback from our students in multiple ways, which we will discuss, to really make the biggest impact.
Okay, so the way that we're going to structure this session is we're going to have the option to either work independently, or you can follow along as we go through each of the tools that we are recommending. So if you're going to follow along, we'll walk through how you can use Google Forms, audience tools in Google Slides, Jamboard, and Schoology discussions to encourage student to teacher feedback. If you want to work independently, we encourage you to work through this slide here, as well as the other slides. You'll see links here that you can click through and select what tools you're interested in learning more about and seeing how those can be used for student to teacher feedback. And then we're going to ask that you work on creating a resource for yourself that you can use in your classroom. So select a tool, do a little bit of independent research, and then create something that you can use to gather feedback from your students. You're welcome to mute and work independently during this time, and we'll return and do a bit of a debrief in this room, and then we'll also go back to the main room for our final reflection time. But for those of you that are going to continue with us and see how these tools can be used, go ahead and stay on, and we'll get started with that. So these are, again, the tools that we're going to be going through: Google Forms, Jamboard, back channel from slides being the audience tools, and then Schoology discussions.
Okay, so we are going to start with Google Forms, and I believe Luke has shared this document with you in the chat. So if you don't have it, you can bring it up so you can work through these links if you don't already have it. So forms, obviously, I think everybody knows are a great way to get feedback, but specifically we're talking about student to teacher feedback. So what can you actually get from your students that are going to help you with your instruction? Now, you will see 4 links. The first link is just how to build a Google form, specifically an exit ticket. And it's just going to walk you through the steps. So if you're not sure how to do that, that's where you will find that information. The second link is going to teach you how to use images and videos within forms. It can be a little bit tricky, so it's just a how-to. And it really helps the students to engage more with the form, spend more time, give feedback that is actually more purposeful and thoughtful. So that's what they found. So if you want to use images and videos in your forms, it's really easy, and this link is going to show you how to do so. And then I created 2 templates for you. When you select a template, Lisbon, you can select this first one, the student, or Luke, I think. No, Lisbon is presenting. It's going to force a copy. So you can use this exact template and just after it makes a copy, you can make your own edits to this. Now, this one is specifically getting feedback on the lesson. So there's different types of feedback you can get from your students. And one is just asking them straight up, what did they like about the lesson? Were they engaged? Why? What didn't they like? How they felt about it. And this can just give you feedback on what's resonating with your students, what's not, what they really enjoyed, and really get to know them at a deeper level so you can plan your lessons out in the future with this group of students. So you can use this one, change it however you see fit, add photos, add videos, anything like that. I put different types of questions in here as well. There's a lot of different types, as Lisbon's showing you. So I put a lot of different ones in there, but you can edit this how you see fit. I just wanted to give you a template and show you how you could be using this to ask students really about how do they feel after a lesson, not really about the content, but How do they feel? Was it interesting? Did they feel engaged? What did they learn? Or did they feel like they learned something new? So that's the first one. And then the second template I created for you is that last link. And this is more checking for understanding, because this also is going to give you feedback on your lesson if your students are understanding the purpose of the lesson. So this is just a basic exit ticket, checking for understanding. And this one I did include some photos just to show how it can look. And this is just asking what they learned. And that's also going to give you feedback on if your lesson resonated. So 2 different templates, kind of 2 different purposes, but both student to teacher feedback. And so that is it on Google Forms. And of course, if you have any questions during the workshop time, feel free to ask them.
Amy, should I really be asking these questions of my kids? Like, do I really want this feedback?
You do. That's how you're going to co-create together instead of just being top down, because you don't always know exactly how your lessons are landing unless you ask.
So I do, being a middle school teacher, one of my principals back in the day really liked to give end of course surveys, and my students would not give me the best feedback all the time. So what's the value in this? Like, really, like, because middle schoolers giving me feedback and stuff, I was just, sometimes I didn't score the best.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. Second, I think you have to lay out expectations for feedback and what it looks like and how students can give feedback. So I don't think that it's always best just to give this and hope that you're going to get really meaningful responses if you don't understand that, or if you don't explain the purpose with the students ahead and how you want to make the environment, cohesive and co-learning and co-creating together. But I taught middle school too, and I would get a lot of responses that weren't very nice, and they didn't like anything, and everything was boring, and they hated everything. But there's always those diamonds in the rough. So just for those, I think that it's worth it when they really feel like in a safe place, because there's a lot of students who don't feel comfortable speaking to you personally, but feel comfortable writing something in or checking a box, and just going to give you that feedback that you might not get elsewhere.
Thank you for helping me understand that.
Yes.
Hopefully they're nicer to me than they are on social media.
All right, so our next tool that we have is also a really great tool for getting feedback from students, especially your students that are not so willing to share out loud when you're in class. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through how you can use audience tools in Google Slides. So I know Google Slides is a popular option for teachers to present material to students. So I'm going to show you how you can use this question and answer tool that's here. So right now I'm in present mode. I'm going to stop presenting so you can actually see how to pull up this option. And I need to switch to showing you my full screen so you can see all of the ways the tool works. So we're going to share that and pull this up. Okay, so I have a Google slide here. This is the one you all are looking at right now. To pull up the audience tools that are available in Google Slides, we're going to go up here to where it says slideshow and select presenter view. Okay, if you do that, what it does is it pulls up this extra window that'll allow you to, one, it'll let you navigate between your slides, but it also, and it also show you your speaker notes along the side, but it also has something up here called audience tools. So I'm going to start a new session, and what it does is it creates this link that your students will go to, and from there, they can ask you questions, provide feedback, respond to questions that you're asking. So I can click here. I would have my students go to this link. If this is something that I'm presenting in class, I might try and post this link in like my Schoology course or someplace that they can simply click on it, or they can type in that link. So if I click on it, what it does is it takes me to a separate page. Students will also see a page like this, and they can ask questions or provide feedback depending on what you are asking them to do. So I'm just going to type in question. I can ask anonymously if I want to. So for those of your students who are a little bit shy and don't want to share that they're asking the question, they do have that option. And then I'm going to click submit. And that question will be there for me to use. Now I can see this on my extra window here, I'll see that that question came through. And if I want to present the question, I can present the question, but it'll be there. So as students ask questions, you can see what feedback and questions they have directly on here as you are presenting through your slides. So that's just kind of a nice little tool that's in there, kind of hidden, not well known about, but an easy way for students to participate and engage in the lesson if you are just using Google Slides. Now, if you use Pear Deck with your slides, this isn't as necessary, because with Pear Deck, you're integrating questions there that they can respond to on the Pear Deck. So for those of you that are comfortable with Pear Deck, this may not be as useful of a tool, but if it's something where you're just doing a simple slideshow and you don't want to set up another Pear Deck, this is kind of a quick way to get some student feedback. So we can see Luke just provided some feedback for for the tool there, and you can see what he's sharing there. So that is audience tools in Google Slides. Let me switch back and we can take a look at our next.
I'll take it from here.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So I want to show then how we can do some different things in Schoology with our discussion boards. So discussion boards are obviously a really great way to get feedback from students and for students to give feedback to each other and be able to really interact. And so you probably are pretty familiar with discussion boards, and they're fairly simple. But I just want to highlight a couple of ways that we can get feedback from students that are not as traditional. So you can do both audio and images for your discussion boards. And actually, this allows students to be really creative. And I've seen that their engagement in the discussion boards goes way up when you tell them to include like GIFs, memes, different things in their feedback. Or if you want them to record some audio feedback, they like that better than having to write out something, because they're writing a lot, which is great in the school day, but it allows them to express themselves in a little bit different ways. So I'm going to show you in a minute just how to do this, but I wanted to show one teacher that I worked with from Hamilton Middle School that did a social emotional check-in with her students. So this is her warm welcome for the day today. At the bottom of the slide here, you can see that she's asking them how they're doing today, and she wants them to reply with a meme or a GIF. And so being middle schoolers, we have some nice middle school feedback here from the students. So really great to see them checking in. Sometimes, hey, we're a Chucky doll in the morning. I get that. Or sometimes you're really tired. That's why I got my coffee going on. And then the students responding to each other. The prompt also said to respond to two other students, and then the teacher was responding to students as well. So even though that this was not an academic thing, right? She's not asking her students to answer academic questions. It was great for our social emotional learning, which is one of our academic priorities this year, and it allows students to really express themselves. There's the top left here. This is a Benedict Cumberbatch I need sleep GIF, and unfortunately I couldn't grab screenshots of the GIF actually moving, but it's really funny to see how the students are interacting with each other and sharing out. So how can we actually do this in Schoology? So fairly simple here. When I pull up my materials for my class, here's just my sandbox. I'm going to go materials, and I'm going to add a discussion. Then from my discussion board here, oh, Schoology is going slow on me this morning. We can have whatever topic we want in here. Again, it can be academic, it can be social emotional, it can be a lot of different things. And then in the box here is where I can add in my audio video recording. So if I click on this little microphone here, it will allow me to record myself. The students do need to give it permission the first time that they do it, but that's a very easy recording feature as well. They can attach a file if they want. They can add in links. they can go a direct insert of like an image here, and it can just load in the image for them right here. This looks the same from their point of view when they are responding to the discussion board as it does when I'm making it here. The same tools come up. So that little microphone for any of the audio or video, and then being able to insert media here with their memes and GIFs. It does come across for any GIF files, so it will load it up in there so that the students have access to that. Again, a really nice way for them to be a little creative as they're sharing, and it really encourages students to engage with the content because they get to express themselves in a different way.
Okay, and the last tool we'll share for eliciting feedback from your students is Jamboard. If you used Google Meets last year, you probably are familiar with Jamboard as it is integrated into Google Meets. But if you haven't, it's a great way for students to interact all together. It's basically like a whiteboard that students can contribute to. We have a few examples that you can use. On our original slide, we provide a link to a Ditch That Textbook resource that provides a variety of templates. These are two of the templates that are available that we just want to take a quick look at. So again, it's going to force a copy if you'd like to use this template. The first one is the fist to 5. I'm going to click make a copy, and you can kind of see how this one works. So a very quick way to get feedback from your students, just how are things going? How are you doing? Are you understanding? So 1 through 5, they can grab a sticky note, write their name on it, and then place their sticky in the column that they are feeling like. So if they don't understand it, they're a 1. If they completely understand it and are feeling confident in the content, they would put their sticky note under the 5, and anything in between. We also have an example of 3 things. So another way to, again, get feedback from your students on how the lesson went. So again, it'll ask you to create a copy for yourself if you'd like to use it. And then basically students are sharing 3 things that they want to give teacher information on. So how well the lesson went, 3 questions they still have, 3 things that stuck with them, any 3 things that might be interesting for the student to share with the teacher. So this can be done with the sticky notes as well. If you're not familiar with Jamboard, the tools are along the side here, so they can grab sticky notes here and just add their thoughts onto the Jamboard, and all students can contribute. The sharing is similar to any other Google Suite product. So just like with Docs and all, just adjust that sharing so that students can edit, and then they can contribute to the Jamboard, and you can see all of their thoughts and feedback on there. There are, again, additional templates available. If you are on this slide deck, if you go to here where it's got the Jamboard listed, we have multiple Jamboard templates from Ditch That Textbook that you can use for similar feedback from your students.
The one thing I'm telling other managers.
That's not what I wanted. All right, and then also in this slide deck are just some additional resources about listening to students and understanding a little bit more of the why of, why feedback is important for students to really, enhance your lessons and to make sure that you are meeting students' needs. So you are welcome to look through those on your own. Again, these are available in the slide deck. So at this time, we'll give you an opportunity just to kind of work on building and creating something for yourself. Let me switch tabs, sorry. We'll work on just creating something for yourself that you can use to elicit feedback from your students regarding your lesson. So however that looks for you, whether you are interested in using the Jamboard, Schoology, Google Forms, or creating or just playing with the audience tools that's available in Google Slides. This time is available for you to work on creating that. And we'll want to return at 9:15, and then we'll have a quick reflection in here, and then we'll all go together back to the main room and join the rest of the group for our final reflection and survey for the course. If there are questions, please do ask now. Otherwise, you're welcome to work.
I have a question. Which one would you guys suggest on, like, I don't know, career readiness type of thing?
Well, I think all of these can be used in different settings. For career, I think it's really important that our students are giving us feedback, because that's kind of part of the professional review process, right? Is that when I give presentations, I always get feedback from my audience. Most employers do that as well, is that when they are putting things out there that they've created, that they've got feedback on that, whether that's architectural drawings, whether that's software that they write, that they are always eliciting feedback, and then they know how to do that for others as well. So I would say, like, a Schoology board is a really easy place to start with that, just allowing them to express themselves in different ways. Maybe you can have them, like, really push students and say, like, hey, part of professionalism in our workforce in this century is that we give feedback to each other, and we can either write that feedback out or use the audio clips to be able to give well thought out feedback.
Okay. Is there any, so I know my thing is a little bit different at CEC than everybody else's. I'm the manufacturing teacher, but this year they have me doing kind of what Santo does, which is career exploration. So I get to look at the students in my class look at a new career every single week for the whole entire semester, since we have 15 or 16 different pathways. So I guess I'm always looking for any sort of suggestion that helps with kind of figuring out how I can do something different that's engaging, but also something that's like the same, so they get used to, like, the idea, get used to, like, doing the same thing over and over again. So it's weird, because I want them to do the same thing for practice and to really, like, kind of figure out what they really like, but then at the same time don't want to be boring.
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think it was Mr. Fairmount.
Yeah.
He has, and I know this, we're talking about getting feedback here, but his deal is he's doing like an email assignment, just getting his kids to get into the habit of writing emails and professional emails. I mean, you could have them, like, when they come through culinary, have them email the instructors afterward, a quick thank you email, or, like, if you're interested in the course, reach out to the instructors, something like that. But, like, and that's something that I'm starting to think about working on, is getting these kids to answer emails.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like that's like it's like they need that skill, but at the same time, that's starting to slowly be phased out.
That's actually a really good idea with the emails. I appreciate that, because I see that our students do a lot with, like, messaging and stuff in Schoology and social media, but they don't know how to do emails. Like, when I get some messages from students, it's, like, totally not professional at all. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Okay.
One other thing too, I was kind of thinking through, since you were saying, like, you want something that can elicit feedback every week and can be kind of similar. The Jamboard template 2 there, that's posted in the chat with the 3 things, I think that can be applied to basically any career. So if you want to make, like, your Friday reflection, that they're choosing, 3 things from the career that they learned from that week, or a different variation on it. Here, I'll post it.
Is that the same one that's in the slides?
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. So I got that one. All right.
So you could do something like that. I used to teach a world cultures class that sounds a little similar in structure, that every single week we examined a different culture.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had that on Friday. We did like a reflection activity that was similar every single week, and allowed them to kind of like close up what we were doing that week and reflect on that week. And then, on Monday that we were back to the next thing.
Okay. All right. Cool. Nice. Anything else?
I'm kind of just curious if you have a flow that you're already in every week, if you're using a certain tool or something, or kind of how that looks. That might help.
So yeah, I think I might have maybe tried too much too fast type thing, but I try to do it like every day. There's so at CEC we're also doing project-based learning. So we're doing the DSR, do something real, is our kind of motto / actual project-based learning idea. So for me, it was trying to get them to start connecting and actually possibly developing or making in class either alternative energy stuff or hydroponics, and connect how that can impact global warming or climate change and social inequalities. So it's kind of interesting there. That was supposed to be Monday, but it seems like there's a lot of Mondays that we don't have classes. So I got to switch that up to maybe Tuesday or something like that. And then usually Wednesday is like the day I actually go take both classes into other career classes and have them shadow for that day. So we try to do like kind of like a quick prep before we go in and leave the classroom and then come back. And then I'm trying to have them kind of connect to my class. What I teach, manufacturing, is like, either teaching them how the machines and stuff that we use and how to design things, and have them pick like something from one of the career pathways that they've investigated that they could make. So, and they could design in either 3D print or laser cut. So it's kind of divided up into like 3 to 4 days of the same of usually the same thing every single week. Of course, testing last week threw that out the window. But yeah, it's let's see here. Is there anything else in there? So yeah, I'm just trying to like also connect how manufacturing is integrated into all those different pathways. So I try to have little lessons and discussions about that. I usually like to, show them a new invention or a new interesting, idea or thing that's happening within a certain pathway or something like that, to get them like thinking differently, other than just like how much money can I make and am I going to like it or not, So for example, a couple weeks ago when we were doing the film one, I found a TikTok. I actually have them watch TikToks in my class. I don't know. Some people like cringe when I say that, but show them how they can use social media to learn. And found a video about one of the Shark Tank guys was talking about how he's willing to pay people that have a degree in the arts $100,000, $150,000 to make videos that can go on social media and stuff like that. Because of the pandemic, everybody's on social media, and that's where you're gonna try to sell your product now. So that was kind of interesting, and we kind of went into a discussion about how can you tell a story about yourself. So that was kind of fun, something totally different.
So it's a lot of hands-on, a lot of project-based.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, just hearing you think that or talk about that, like every week you're doing a different career. I wonder if they could make, they're not going to be posting them to TikTok, but if they can even make videos about what they think they would like about the career, or what would be the challenges of this career, or things like that. And they're making videos that they're not posting, but they would probably have a lot of fun in the creation process and thinking through what they're going to say and really reflecting on, would I like this and why? That's kind of the first thing that came to my head. Okay. Also, the Schoology discussions that were talked about, you could have a prompt about like, why do you think this job would be challenging? Or how do you think who you are aligns with this job and would be, you know, purposeful in your life? And then they can do discussions with each other, and they're just posting, you know, it's really easy if they used to use the microphone, and they can listen to each other's, and then you can have it like a protocol where they have to listen to other people's and give feedback. But that could be a really good way for them to reflect, because it sounds like a lot of what you're doing during the day isn't really technology based. I mean, it could be, but it's like a lot of hands-on work. And then that could just be kind of the reflection part at the end where they get to talk to each other about how do they feel after this week.
What tool was that again? Was that, you said Flipgrid or?
I was talking about the Schoology discussions.
Okay.
I think that could be good because you could write a prompt, and it's really easy for you. It takes a lot of the load off you. You just put the prompt, they read it, and then they just, you know, maybe they have to write out what they're going to say, then they record their voice, and then they can listen to each other and respond to each other.
Okay. I didn't realize you could do that in with the discussion feature. You could.
Yeah, that's a nice feature for that. And it really takes a lot off of your plate as well.
Gotcha.
Which is another goal.
Yes. Cool. I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't realize you could actually microphone it on the discussion stuff. Cool. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Across a lot of the features in Schoology, it has the little microphone at the bottom, which does audio or video, or like you can do both too. So you can put that kind of all over. A lot of our teachers that teach like multilingual learners can use that so they can like read the instructions to students, or then have students that maybe have a hard time writing out their thoughts to be able to reply back. But like for your purposes there too, like that's where they could create like their little videos and stuff for you if you want them practicing, you know, making a 30-second TikTok or something. And you can have it all in one spot then, and they can just use their cameras on their computers to record those.
Okay. I have tried to have them use Screencastify to like
Yep, and that works as well
for their work and stuff like that, but I haven't really made them, I guess, use it in a way where they give each other feedback or give me feedback. So
and Screencastify does have a new feature called Screencastify Submit, and within that platform as well, students can give each other feedback and post their videos for you all in one spot, so it looks a lot like the discussion board. So if you're already using Screencastify to record videos, I would say just use that Screencastify Submit, and I'll drop a link into that here in just a second.
Okay, so I can click, even I can do this audio video recording. I'm kind of doing it as we talk on Schoology right now.
Yeah, so just look at that little like old school microphone at the bottom bar.
Right.
And then you just have to give it some authorizations on your computer to access, and you should be off and running.
Audio and video. Okay, nice. That's something I could use. I've been interesting. I know it's funny when I show them like, okay, here's the click on the print icon. They're like, what is that? I don't know what a printer looks like.
One of my favorites is the save button. They don't understand what a floppy disk is because they've never had to use like hard physical things to save before.
Or save period. Like, I mean, now everything does it for you automatically. The minute you change it, it's updating. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's interesting. So, okay, cool. Got lots of stuff to work on then. Thank you guys very much. I think Amy, you're my tech coach, I think, right?
Yes, I am. So if you ever want to talk about this more, need more ideas, you can reach out to me directly.
Welcome back.
All right, thanks for coming back. For just our final reflection in here, just regarding feedback from students to teachers, we're going to ask that you just share out what is one way you're going to incorporate student feedback into your classroom. Since we talked about Jamboard in our session, we're going to go ahead and, oh, that's not the right link. We do want you to add your comment to the Jamboard that we've created. So if you could, thank you, click on that link that Luke just posted and let us know, how do you plan to incorporate student feedback into your classroom? Let us know if you're going to use one of the tools that we talked about, or how is it that you're going to get some info from your students. You can add a sticky note into that Jamboard and let us know what you're thinking.
I'm liking to see these answers, and I think we all learned how important toilet paper was during the pandemic. I bet that would get the students talking. I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. The biomed teacher, I told him about what we like, what's one invention you think is the most important thing, and he said toilet paper. It changed people's lives, expanded the expanded the life expectancy of people by 10 to 15 years right off the bat or something like that. So flushable toilet paper. There you go.
Very cool. So I'm glad to hear that we'll be using both Schoology and it looks like the back channel Google Slides feature. So hopefully that'll help you with your instruction and just informing it so that you are working with your students to support their learning. At this time, we'll go ahead and jump back into the main session. Let's see, do we have a link for that? We'll get that into the chat and we'll go back and get info for the survey that you need to fill out and reflect a little more with the whole group. Thanks for joining us in this session.
Thank you, everyone.